Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Math 161. So I know this is a little unusual and not what we were expecting. I know we were expecting to be in person for this, but unfortunately the TCC administration has decided that with the Omicron presence as it is currently, we will be Zooming at least for the first week. I have no idea if we're going to be Zooming the second week, third week, fourth week yet. We will have to keep our eyes and ears peeled. So be checking your emails for this stuff. When I hear, I'll probably hear the same time as y'all, whether or not this is going to be continued on Zoom or if we are going to get to meet in our classroom, which was what, A105, I believe. I am very, very, very hopeful. Sorry. I'm very hopeful that we're going to get to do this class in person the rest of the semester after this week, or at least after a couple of weeks. This was supposed to be my first class back in the classroom in 2 years. I'm really, honestly, I was looking forward to it, but we have to do what we have to do. So if you are upset that this class is being over Zoom and it's not exactly what you wanted, I feel for you, but we have to make the best of the situation. And again, let's hope that things change and then we go back in person. But if we do have to be on Zoom all semester, like I said, we will make the best of the situation. We will push forward. We will keep our heads up and we'll be safe. And you'll have to just, like I said, make the best of the situation. Okay, so the first thing I want to point out before we get into the syllabus material today is that you do have to enroll in this website called Mymathlab. I'm going to show you how to enroll in that later after we talk about the syllabus. But for now, I want to make sure that everybody has the course ID written down. So I did email this to you, and you might think, well, Mr. Beckner, I didn't get an email from you. Well, that means you probably enrolled in this course after about, what, noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, something like that yesterday. That's about when I send out my emails. I like to do it about 24 hours in advance because I know that I have a lot of enrollment changes. Up until that point, people are adding and dropping. So if I send out an email a week in advance, I'll have to send it again and again and again. So if you've been waiting for some information from me, that's why. I just don't want to have to do it 50 times. So in case you did not receive that email from me, you will find it in Canvas. I'll show you how to find that. And it actually might be an old edition of the email. I'm just realizing that I don't think I updated it. Not a big deal. It'll get fixed later today. It basically has the same information except for saying that, oh, well, hopefully we're not on Zoom the whole term. So your Mymathlab course ID, make sure you write this down. Beckner, B-E-C-K-N-E-R 42600. So that is for our 8 a.m. section. And again, you have to enroll in this by 5 p.m. tomorrow or be deleted from this course. Whether you were in person or on Zoom, this is true for all my classes. You have to go ahead and get ready. All your homework is going to be on this program. Your tests are likely going to be in this program. If we do it in person, if I'm allowed to collect paper pencil tests, I would rather do things that way, but you still might have at least one test in Mymathlab. So the testing is kind of TBD right now. I've got to check with admins about that if we do end up in person. But for now, I'm saying they'll be in Mymathlab, but asterisks, maybe not. But either way, your homework is still going to be in Mymathlab. Your reviews will be in Mymathlab, so you need to be in this program. You will have to purchase an access code unless you've already taken this course before and it's your second time. So if you know that you can't afford this course, if you know financial aid is not going to cover it and you don't have the money for it, you need to go ahead and withdraw because it is a paywall that you will have to deal with. If you're going to be taking Math 162, Pre-Calc 2, the nice thing is that you only have to pay for it once since it's a combined textbook, so that's nice. So, all right, Beckner 42600, I'm going to go ahead and take this off the screen. Give me 1 second. All right, so with that being said, let's get into the syllabus. So again, like I said, let's go ahead and get into the syllabus. I am Rodney Beckner. My office phone number is listed up here. My email is listed up here. I don't know if I'll even be able to use my office this semester or not. A couple years ago, I wasn't allowed. Last year I was. Right now I'm not, but who knows what's going to happen in a week or two or 3 or 4. Office hours are to be determined. Everything is kind of up in the air right now. I'm also teaching 21 credits this semester for the first time ever. It's a little overwhelming. I'm not exactly sure why that happened, but it is what it is. So I've got 7 classes. So office hours are going to be kind of thin just because I'm not super available. Email rbeckner@tcc.edu. That's going to be the best way to get a hold of me outside of class. You can also use the Canvas email system to get a hold of me. I do check my TCC email address every business day. I check it on the weekends sometimes. It just depends on how available I am. So if you email me on a Friday afternoon, I might not get back to you until Monday. But if you email me on a Monday, I will get back to you no later than Tuesday. If you email me on a Wednesday, I'll get back to you no later than Thursday, et cetera, et cetera. Usually the same day, unless you email me late at night. I tend not to check my emails after about 6 or 7 o'clock, but occasionally I do. Again, Canvas email is also available if you prefer that. I try and check the Canvas email every day, but sometimes I forget. It's a little annoying having 3 emails. There's a 3rd email system that I'm not going to give y'all that some people have access to, administration, things like that. So it's a lot to deal with. But yeah, again, I can't promise if you leave me a voicemail that I'm going to be able to even check it. So office phone might not be the best thing. Also, you will have noticed that when you come into this class on Zoom that I have everybody on mute, and and I don't let you undo that. It's pretty distracting. My attention span is not great. There might be a 3 or 4 letter abbreviation that you can figure out on your own that I may or may not have to deal with, and people's background noises and feedback and not super high quality microphones. It can be distracting and it really slows things down. And the classes that I was allowing that, we did not come close to finishing the material by the end of the semester. We were behind and then more behind and then more behind. So if you have any questions while we're Zooming, you can ask them in the chat. You can either ask them publicly or privately. You can send a PM. So right here, hi. And I see someone PM'd me earlier. Unfortunately, I can't repeat everything from the first 5 or 6 minutes. The good thing is when we are Zooming, there will be recordings of them up on YouTube. When and if and when we go back to the classroom, I will not have recordings of the classes. So there's a benefit to Zoom there in that if you miss anything, you can go back and catch the recordings. That's nice. So if you miss a live class, that's not going to be the case. I do have some recordings from previous semesters that you can go back and use. Ultimately, the lectures will be pretty much the same. I have a couple changes here and there. So that is a good resource if you wanted to go through my YouTube channel that you'll be able to find through Canvas that I'll show you later. Sorry for all my coughing. I don't have the clearest throat, I guess, in general, but the first day with all the syllabus talking and talking 5 times as much as usual, it definitely gets to me. Okay, so what exactly is Pre-Calc 1? What are we going to be covering? What are we going to be doing? Well, this is a prerequisite for Calc 1. So most students that take pre-calculus tend to go to calculus, or at least that's what we anticipate. Now, in the past, that wasn't true. In the past, we pretty much just had every TCC student take a pre-calc course, whether they were going on to calculus or not. Eventually, they figured out this isn't really the best path. So now we do this quantitative reasoning course instead for the students who don't need calculus in their lives. So if you're in this course, you're probably a business student and going on to applied calculus, something like that, or an engineering or science student and going on to calculus. So this is a prerequisite for calculus. We're going to teach you a lot of algebra techniques that are very, 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 very important in calculus. A lot of people get terrified of calculus, but the thing is, the hard part of calculus is actually the algebra. Calculus is just a series of formulas at the end of the day that you have to memorize. It's the algebra, the extensive algebra that you have to do, that you have to have mastered. So if you are going onto a calculus course, please understand that about half of the material in this course you will need to master. Admittedly, there's a lot of stuff that you won't see again, but is just really cool material to cover, especially a lot of the extensive graphing and equation solving techniques. But things like factoring, it's never going away. Things like graphing simple equations and quadratics and square roots, that's never going away. Simple function analysis, that's never going away. Required materials, you do have to purchase the Mymathlab Access Kit. You do have the option to go to the bookstore and buy a physical book, but you don't have to buy the physical book because there is an ebook. I will show you how to access that. So you can take the cheaper purchase option. And again, if you're going on to Pre-Calc 2, that purchase is good for that course as well. You will want to have access to a graphing calculator. If you have a scientific calculator, that's fine, but the graphing calculator is really going to help you out for kind of pushing you in the right direction once we get to the test 3 and test 4 material. I do not always allow calculators for tests. The first 2 tests will not be allowed to use a calculator, but the test 3, test 4, and the final, you will be allowed to use a calculator. Pencil, paper, don't use pens for math tests, please. That's a horrible idea. You can purchase the MyMathLab Access Kit from the bookstore when it's open, or directly through MyMathLab, and we'll show you that later. Course learning outcomes, we're going to talk about polynomials, we're going to talk about rational and exponential functions, we're going to talk about using symmetry and intercepts and asymptotes to graph all sorts of fun things. We're going to talk about solving equations, lots of different types of equations. We're going to do function analysis. We're going to get into some more advanced equation solving techniques, some implicit types of techniques, and then we close out with systems of equations if we have time. There is some review material in this course. Chapter 1 and 2, a lot of the stuff that you'll see, you should have seen before in what we'd call prerequisite courses. Now, because of the way placement is done at TCC, you might end up in this course and you've never seen this stuff before because that's what you told your advisor. Yeah, I'm ready for Pre-Calc 1, and they go, okay, cool. They don't look at your transcripts and say, well, maybe you're not ready for this. Maybe we should definitely put you somewhere else. So I hope that you're not in that situation. If you are in that situation, you're probably or hopefully enrolled in the Prereq course MDE 61, and you should have me later today for that, and we'll talk about that later in the MDE 61. If you're not enrolled in the MDE 61, maybe you need to be, or maybe you're just not ready for this course at all and you need to be in the MDE 10 or 60 courses. So the placement system is kind of funny. I hope that you're ready for this course, but we have found that a lot of students aren't, and we realize that really quickly. So when I'm going over the chapter 1 and chapter 2 material, it might feel like I'm going super, super fast, and that's because I'm operating under the assumption that you have seen this stuff before, because if you're in this course, you were supposed to have seen this stuff before. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time reviewing factoring. I'm not going to spend a lot of time reviewing equations of lines. We'll go through that stuff pretty quickly. The stuff that's new, I will take a little more time and do more examples with, like when we talk about inverse functions or graphing polynomials or synthetic division or exponentials and logarithms, things like that, we go a little slower with. This course schedule is actually really terrible looking. Unfortunately, I don't have control over this. The way the syllabus is built now is all basically a pre-made thing, and it changed. We get to update it once a year, and for whatever reason, when it was done this year, it came out looking like garbage. The weeks and the section numbers did not align, so these week 1 through 15, there is no week 16 anymore. These were supposed to be more spaced out, and it didn't turn out that way. And if I just hit, oh, well, that does work. I can clean that up later. So maybe I'll update that in our syllabus in Canvas later. You were emailed the syllabus, by the way, and if you didn't get that email, you'll find the syllabus in Canvas. You might see a spot for it in Mymathlab, but I'm not going to update it there. I already have to have my syllabus in 3 or 4 different locations. A 4th/5th one is just a pain in the butt. So don't go hunting for the syllabus in Mymathlab. Grab it from Canvas or the email I sent. So this kind of looks like garbage right now, and that's okay. We'll see where we are on a week-by-week basis. I do have this listed as 4 tests and a final. If we have time for the 4th test, then we'll do a 4th test, but the last semester or 2 being a lot of Zoom stuff, we haven't had time to give the 4th test, so I didn't. I'm hoping that we go back in person, and I'm hoping that we'll have time for the 4th test, but we'll see. COVID-19 policy, if we do go back in person and you feel sick, you've got a temperature, you're coughing, you think you've been exposed, whatever, maybe don't come to campus and expose everyone else, that kind of stuff. Read the COVID policies on your own time. The way attendance is going to work when we're in person, I will pass around the roll every day. I also use your homework as attendance. With Zoom, while we're in Zoom, I'm not going to take roll every day. It's just going to be purely based on, are you doing the homework? So please make sure that you're doing the homework. No matter what, homework completion is tied to attendance. So even if we go in person, you might attend class every single day, but if you don't do a single homework, I'm going to withdraw you for lack of participation. So participation and attendance are all tied to homework. So if we're 6 weeks in and I find a student has not done a single homework, I'm going to withdraw them because they're not participating in the course. They're not going to pass. So don't think that you can just make all A's on the tests in here and, oh, I just won't do the homework and I'll accept a B or a C grade because homework's only worth 20%, as we'll see. That's not going to fly. Again, you have to do the homework because I do directly tie homework to attendance. You still need to be attending the class. You still need to be attending lectures. So if we do go live, that roll will be passed around and I'll take attendance. But with the Zoom classes, we're told that we know not every student has internet access all day, every day. So that's why I put the stuff on YouTube. So maybe you catch it later. And then, you know, do I just say, oh, hey, sign this piece of paper if you watched YouTube later? I mean, I didn't see you do it. So do I trust it or not? I just feel like let's just tie it to the homework, like I said. We already talked about how if you don't enroll in Mymathlab by 5 p.m. tomorrow, I will delete you. I will withdraw you. So that's just kind of a faith thing to make sure that you are committed to this course, to make sure that you're ready for this course. Any student who enrolls late and is watching this on YouTube, obviously you have a 24-hour period from enrollment, but make sure that you do it immediately. If you are enrolling late, you should see that day 1 email in Canvas. Make sure that you read it. Make sure you adhere to that information. Grades, your homework grades will be in Mymathlab. I'll talk about something special with that a little bit later. Final grades will be posted in SIS at the end of the semester. Do not email me asking for test grades or final exam grades. It's not a secure form of communication, so I am not allowed to give those out over email. Just look in SIS, and grades are posted about 24 hours after taking the final exam, or within 24 hours of the course ending. So how do our grades work? It's this stuff right here. I don't know why that says 5, 6. Geez, someone did a bad job with that. It's not 2018, it's 2022, obviously. So we will have 3 or 4 tests that will be in class, paper, pencil, hopefully. This is how it was supposed to be, but it might be in Mymathlab. It might be because of Zoom. Maybe if we are in person, maybe I still have to do Zoom tests or Mymathlab tests. We'll find out. So that's going to be 60% of your grade. So in other words, if we have 4 tests, they are 15% each. If we have 3 tests, they will be 20% each. I'm hoping for 4 tests, but last semester I only had 3. So we'll see what happens there. Your homework is 20% of your grade. Honestly, this should be the easiest 20% of your grade because you can do homework problems over and over and over and over and over until you make an A. So as long as you put in the effort, 20% of your grade, 1/5 of your grade should be pretty much perfect. So maybe you're making B's on your tests, but your homework grade is high enough to pull up your final average to an A. Maybe you're making C's on your tests, but your homework average is high enough to pull your grade up to a B. That's the nice thing about your homework. It should be a freebie as long as you're doing enough work. Final exam will be 20%. Again, that might not be in person. It might be in Mymathlab. We will have to see what happens. I'm sorry for everything being in limbo. It's not my decision. It is the administration's decision. It is a basic 10-point scale. So an A is a 90 to 100, technically 11 points for that one. A B is an 80 to an 89, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Makeup work. I don't allow makeup work. I don't allow late work. So if you miss a test, you're going to need some kind of documentation for a reason as to why you did. If you have documentation, I can allow you to make up the test. But otherwise, once everything's been graded, once the deadline's passed, I'm not going to allow you to take the test again. Oh, Mr. Beckner, I forgot to take it. That really sucks. Maybe pay attention to dates. Homework. Homework is going to be due 1 week after assigned, but we'll talk a little bit more about homework. Now, I will say, while the first month, month and a half, maybe even 2 months of class If you say, oh, Mr. Beckner, I forgot to do homework 1.2, can I get an extension? I'm going to say no, unless you say, oh, I was sick with COVID and you should give me, like I said, documentation, then I might allow it. You've got to demonstrate that you are actually completing material in this course. But if it's the third or fourth month of the course, and I see that you've done all your homework up to this point, maybe you missed one assignment, and you say, Mr. Beckner, I was really sick or something happened, I just need an extra day on homework 3.5, I'll go, okay, I see that you've done a great job throughout the semester, I'll give you a couple extra days. But again, you have to establish the fact that you are willing to commit to completing the homework. If you come to me, the first homework assignment, you need an extension, you're not getting an extension. So show me that you're willing to put in the work, and I might give you an extension later in the semester. But if you start saying, oh, I need an extension on 3.1, I need an extension on 3.2, I need an extension on 3.3, I'm going to go, I don't think so. Get back to committing yourself to your work, and then maybe we'll give you another extension later. But for now, attendance policy, we've already talked about. The way it works in here, if you miss more than 4 classes, I'm allowed to withdraw you. Again, if you have excuses for missing classes, then exceptions to that rule can be made as long as you are doing homework, things like that. So with 4 classes being missed, that basically means that if you miss more than 4 homeworks, because it's pretty much 1 homework per class day, essentially. Now, again, if it's the end of the semester, I can be a little more lenient with that. But if I find that we're 6 weeks in and I've got a student who hasn't done any homework, they're getting withdrawn. If they've only done 1 homework, they're probably getting withdrawn. 2 homeworks, probably getting withdrawn. So keep up with the homework. Don't get withdrawn. I do prefer that my students withdraw themselves. I have to withdraw like 30 students every semester. It's a ton of paperwork. I would prefer that y'all take care of it yourself, especially to make sure that you save your money. If it's the first couple of weeks where you can get out and it doesn't go on your record. So here we have that that thing I said earlier. Attendance can and will be counted as completion of homework assignments, in addition to actually coming to class if we go back to in-person. Hopefully, fingers crossed. There's a lot of repetition in the syllabus. I don't know why there's so much repetition, but it is what it is. Again, I don't generate all of this. It's an automated system. Late work, makeup work, again, already here. I do announce tests at least a week prior to them being in class. I will always give you access to review material for tests. The reviews will be comparable to the tests. So make sure you do the reviews. They won't count for or against your grade, but they are very, very awesome and helpful. Tests may be taken early in the testing center, not if it's everyone, if it's just 1 or 2 people. And again, that'll be if the campus even opens up. Classroom behavior, make sure you're not saying any nasty things in chat. If we go back to in-person, let's all be respectful of each other. Raise your hand if you have any questions. Again, if you have any questions while we're Zooming, you can post them in the chat window. Inclement weather. If we have any snowstorms like this weekend possibly that affect us coming to school, you should be receiving emails about that. Watch the news, set up TCC alerts if you have not already. That'll shoot you emails and text messages. When I hear something, I will email you as well. Also, if I'm ever sick, I'll email you that class is canceled as soon as I know. I might just try and post up a YouTube recording of the material that we would have been covering that day, since I do have an entire semester's worth of videos that I can post. So that would really help us make sure that we don't fall behind and don't have to rush in class, especially since now our 15-week semester has been cut to a 14-week semester. And they added a couple of minutes to the classes each day, but that really isn't going to help us the way things get organized. So we really did just essentially lose a week. It is what it is, though. Emergency shutdown of the college, basically already talked about that. We'd have administration emailing us, walking around in person if we're in person, telling us what to do. Withdrawal deadlines, if you want your money back for tuition, that's January 5th. If it's halfway through the semester and you just don't think you can handle this course, or your life's about to change, that's March 21st. If you withdraw after that deadline, you're going to receive an F automatically, unless you have some extenuating circumstance like you're having a baby or you're moving to Canada, anything like that. and moving to Canada, if we're Zooming still, I don't even know that that would be a viable reason anymore. Academic integrity, you can certainly work on your homework with each other. You'll have different numbers for your problems because Mymathlab generates different numbers. But with testing, you do need to do your own work. You're not supposed to work with others. You're supposed to be closed books, no notes, no books, no calculators for the first 2 tests. Be honest if we are doing this over Mymathlab. You will be expected to show your work for your test and then take a picture of it and send it over Canvas. And that's how you'll get partial credit as well as have your grade secured. So if you don't show your work, if you don't submit it in Canvas, I have the right to give you a 0 because I'm going to go, well, I don't know if you did this or not. I don't see your work. Maybe Bob did this. Maybe Jane did this. So make sure your work is your own. Make sure you're submitting your work. And we'll talk about that more when it's test time. And that's if we stay on Zoom. If we get to test in person, that last bit won't even matter. Plagiarism, academic misconduct. We basically already talked about that. Don't cheat. Don't make us have to give you 0s on tests. Don't make us get you kicked out of TCC, anything like that. Educational accessibility. This is all supposed to be set up to where I just go to a website and find your forms now, but you are still encouraged to email me if you have any accommodations through TCC. They have to be through TCC. This is especially an issue when it comes to testing. I would prefer that you shoot me an email reminding me that you have an accommodation before the first test. Like I said, I have 7 different classes and I tend to get a decent amount of these. So I want to make sure that I accommodate everyone in the ways I'm supposed to. So it would be cool if you remind me. If you think you need an accommodation, then hit up the accommodation services. Their phone number is there. The URL is in the important websites at the very bottom of this document as well that I'm not really going to show. Emergency procedures, if we're in person and we have any kind of bomb threat, tornado threat, fire, etc., we'll have people telling us what to do. Title IX, we love you all equally. We will not discriminate. The library, hopefully they're going to be opening up. Their hours will be posted outside of the room if and when they do open up. Academic support services, this is essentially the Learning Resource Center, aka the Tutoring Center. So again, hopefully they'll be doing in-person tutoring like last semester. In addition, they will be offering Zoom tutoring. And once I have the link and hours, I will email that out to everybody. I do highly suggest that you use the Tutoring Center for help, especially if you are really, really, really behind. I can't spend 10 hours with each student outside of class catching everybody up because they're basically placed in the wrong class. So if you're really struggling with the pre-calc material, I suggest that you use the LRC. And then some important websites. Khan Academy, I don't think is listed up here as an awesome math website, but it is an awesome website. Khan Academy, that's KHAN Academy.com. You can Google it. That would be very, very helpful for brushing you up with things like factoring, linear equations, combining like terms, multiplying polynomials, et cetera, things that, like I said, we have to really rush through here, things that you're expected to already have done before. A lot of people recommend purplemath.com. I've never used purplemath.com, but I've heard good things, so maybe check that out as well. All right. So let's go ahead and show you the Canvas website, and then we'll show you Mymathlab. So this is essentially what Canvas looks like for us. Let's do this. Should reorganize it a little bit. Let's do that. There we go. So when you log in to your Canvas account and you go to your dashboard and you go into the course, this is what it'll look like for now. Some other things will be added as the semester progresses. And at the very top, important course info. Any student enrolled late is responsible for everything covered, including reading this email. So like I said, this is going to be a little off from what we said. This is a previous semester's email because I forgot to overwrite it. Yeah. So this doesn't say exactly what the email I sent to you said because it doesn't talk about, hey, maybe we'll go back to be in person, hopefully. But it did give you the course ID and the Zoom link. That's weird. That would work. The course ID will be inside of the syllabus. So if you click the syllabus tab, Math 161 syllabus, there you go. And that was what we were looking at earlier today, just a few minutes ago. Then you'll have the lecture videos. So these will only be for lectures where we were on Zoom. So if we go back to in person by our third meeting, you'll only have videos for the first two. I'm not going to set up a video camera in class and record things. I just think that's kind of not easy to do. I don't have the time to be doing like anything like that. It's already time consuming uploading Zoom to YouTube and then linking it to Canvas. It would take me 5 times as long to have to set up a camera and do all that as well. So that's just not going to happen. So again, if you ever miss a class, if we are in person, I would just advise you to go to a previous semester in my YouTube channel, Pre-Calc 1 course, Math 161 course, and then just try and find the material that would have been covered that day. So when you come in and I'm on section 3.2, that means you probably missed 3.1, go back and watch the material for that. So right now, this is just the live lectures. And then after today's course, you'll see January 11th course intro up here. And then after next class, you'll see January 13th, blah, 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 blah. I'm hoping that that'll be the last time we're Zooming, but maybe not. And then some prereq material here. So if you're rusty with dealing with your exponent rules, if you're rusty with factoring, I've got some worksheets here with rules and stuff, also for radicals and rationals. And then for the factoring, I have a couple of activities that are actually linked to Khan Academy that you can check out. So what's this exponent rules file look like? Oh, all the different power rules. So what do you do if you have something like x squared times x to the 4th? Well, you would add them. So you'd get 2 plus 4 is 6. That would be x to the 6th. What do you do if you have x squared raised to the 4th power? Well, you multiply them. So 2 times 4 is 8. You'd have x to the 8th. What do you do if you have x times y raised to the 3rd power? You give the 3rd power to both the x and the y. What do you do if you have a negative exponent? You flip the base. You take it from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom, and you change the sign of the exponent. What do you do if you have something raised to the 0 power? Well, it just equals 1, et cetera, et cetera. So again, that's stuff you're supposed to already know. Factoring rules. So here's a document giving my version of factoring rules. For the binomials, I give you the formulas for the 3 that have formulas. One of them, it's prime, the sum of squares. You can't actually factor using real numbers. And then I give you an example of the cubes formula, one of the cubes formulas. I talk about how we factor trinomials, whether there's a leading coefficient of 1 or not. So when you have a leading coefficient of 1, I call this the shortcut method. I give you the steps, the 3 steps for that, and then I give you an example of how that's done. When the leading coefficient isn't a 1, I lay out the AC method. I say there's also the trial and error method, but I don't list the instructions for that one. You can Google on how to do that. Maybe you already know it. Both are viable methods, and they will work every time. Sometimes the AC method's quicker, sometimes trial and error is quicker, and that's dependent on the person. Trial and error is great when there's only 3 or 4 options. Trial and error kind of sucks when there's 20 options, because if you get it right on the 20th try, and that's just your roll of the dice, that's just luck, that's annoying, because the AC method, whether there's 4 options or 20 options, you're going to get it by the 4th step no matter what. So the AC method feels like a longer method for some problems, but for other problems, it gets you the answer quicker. So I really, really like the AC method. What I'm going to try and do this semester, if I have time early on, is make some videos with this prereq stuff, going into more detail vocally, showing examples. And I will still probably do this very, very, very quickly in class, but I'd like to make some videos where I take a little bit more time, but I'm not promising it yet. It's on my docket to do, if not now, this summer. Hopefully I can get to it. And I'm sorry if you can hear some background noise. That's my dog. He makes a lot of noise. It's very distracting to me, but it is what it is. Another reason I'd really like to be back in person. And then I give you an example of the AC method written out extensively. I also talk about factor by grouping for 4-term polynomials. So the AC method, oh, that seems kind of crazy. Well, here's a link to trying it out on your own in Khan Academy. And they give you instructions on how to do it. They give you a very laid out example on how to do it. And then they give you some examples to try on your own. Factor, hey, which one might it be? Check, I need help. You just click the I need help. It'll drag you along through the example. And there's several of these. There's several of these. And then they go into some more stuff. My computer's frozen. Come on. When is it useful? Why does it work? Et cetera, et cetera. You can go into the grander details. There's some people that 5 years ago posted on this. So I also had a link for trying this stuff, the factor by grouping out. So this was the 4-term polynomials. And the AC method is also known as factor by grouping because it actually uses the same technique, but for 3-term polynomials instead of 4-term polynomials. It just has a couple extra steps. Now you might say, well, Mr. Beckner, I learned how to factor using the box method. Cool, use it. Hey, Mr. Beckner, I learned how to use something called the push and pull method, or it might have an alternate name. Cool. There's like 100 different ways to factor. If you learn some different method and you know how it works, go for it. I don't care how you factor in this course. I just care that you can get the problem factored. That's the ultimate goal. All right. Eventually, there might be some review material posted up here in Canvas. It might be posted in Mymathlab. Yeah. So syllabus and home, this is really the only 2 things you need from Canvas. There's a section for grades, but I'm not really going to have any grades posted in Canvas. So yeah, let's talk about Mymathlab. How do we enroll in Mymathlab? www.mymathlab.com. If you have an account already, you can sign in and then register, but you could also just start the registering process before signing in. Register now as a student. Click OK, register now. And then find your course ID. I gave it at the beginning. I'm not going to go back and find that again. I'm trying to keep this generic. So I'm just going to use this random Beckner 31530. Again, this is not our course. 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 I gave it to you at the beginning of the class. If anyone wants to post it in chat, they can, but it was in your syllabus as well. Continue to register. So this was my MDE 54 course. Again, this is not us, so do not enroll in this, please and thank you. If you use our appropriate course ID, it should say Math 161, Tuesday, Thursday, Spring 2022, and then DO3 or DO4P, one of those 2. So you'd say, okay, that's where we need to be. Create your account. Or you could have signed in on the left side if you already have an account. Enter your email address. Enter a username that you like. It might just be your email address. It might be some other username. Do whatever you like. Enter a password. Write down your username and password because I'm not going to be able to get you access to these things. When you do your email address, make sure that it is correct. We prefer your TCC email address, but if you want to use your Gmail, I don't care. If you're using your TCC email address, make sure it's something like jbob0001@email.bccs.edu. If you mess up any of this and then try and log in with the appropriate one, it's going to say you don't have an account. And you're going to go, yes, I do. And then you're going to talk to their tech support and say, they're going to say, you don't have an account. And you're going to say, yes, I do. And you're going to be pulling your hair out and frustrated. Every semester, at least one student gets this wrong. I think I might have had one semester where nobody got it wrong, but that was a summer, less classes to teach. Make sure you get this right if you're using your TCC account. Because if you don't, bad things are going to happen. Make sure you write down your username and password. See, it automatically makes your username your email, but maybe I just want it to be jbob001. First name, last name, security question and answer. Click the appropriate boxes here at a minimum. The I agree to the terms. And then you're pretty much done. Click the button that says create account. However, there's going to be one more page that I can't show you directly. I have drawn up what it looks like though. No, not there. Here. It'll look like this. So at the top left, you'll have a box that says use your Access Kit code. So if you've already purchased that pamphlet, maybe with the textbook, then that's where you'll enter your 25 or 30 or however many letters it is. To the right is a button to buy your code. So if you don't want to go through the bookstore directly. Someone asked privately, can you use a PPS account? Any email address works, doesn't matter. I'm assuming that's what you mean by PPS, Portsmouth Public Schools. Yeah, that should be fine. So there's a button here to buy your code. I believe it's a little cheaper if you buy it directly through Mymathlab. You can use PayPal, you can use a credit card or a debit card. Obviously, you can't just shove cash into your computer. So if you need to use cash, you'll have to hit the bookstore. But for most of us, I imagine we haven't got access to that stuff yet. So you need to do a 14-day free trial. You might say, Mr. Beckner, I can't do all this. I don't have my code yet. Yes, you can. Everyone gets a 14-day free trial. So in the bottom and in smaller text, because they don't want you to see it, is a blue hyperlink that I'm paraphrasing here, says blah, 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 free trial of Mymathlab. And it's 14 days long. After those 14 days up, if you haven't purchased your code and enter it, you're going to be locked out of your account. Now, you don't lose your work. So if it's day 15, day 16, day 17, you have your account now, your code, you can go in and all your work will still have been saved. But if 2 or 3 or 4 weeks pass after you've been locked out of your account, I'm going to notice you haven't done any homework and you're going to get withdrawn from the course for lack of attendance, lack of participation. So please, please, please buy that code. Again, if you know you're not going to be able to buy that kit, then you need to go ahead and withdraw to save yourself the tuition. You don't want to end up getting withdrawn after the what was it, January 25th, I believe, something about that ballpark, because then you won't get a full tuition refund. And that sucks. And it is roughly that day when it happens. So make sure you enroll by 5 p.m. tomorrow or I withdraw you. Make sure you have your access kit purchased by that 14-day free trial period. Because again, that's the point where you would have lost the ability to withdraw yourself. And then if 2 weeks later you still don't have your code, I'm going to see you haven't done any homework, and that's a problem. All right, so what does Mymathlab look like when you do log in? It will look like, let's just go to this one. It'll look like this. All right, so the main tab you'll stick to is your homework tab. You also have the e-text. Let's show the e-text first. So this is why you don't have to have a physical book, because you have an electronic book. I prefer a physical book personally, but I'm not you, so you do whatever you prefer. View the e-text. And then it'll pull up. And here it is in all its glory. So you can just go from page to page to page. They have changed the format of this book this semester. There used to be a spot in the top where you could just go to type in your page number. You have a search feature. This is running really slowly for me right now. I'm not sure what's going on. You've got a quick scroll here if you hit the navigate button. So if you're trying to get to page 35 really quickly, that's how you can see how to get there quicker. Yeah, I didn't quite get 35, but then I can use the arrows to go to 35. Okay, well, so 35, I know I need to work on section P3, radicals and rationals. So there we go. I can check out the textbook. I can see examples. I can see homework problems. Eventually. So maybe you just like pencil paper homework. Maybe you feel like there aren't enough problems in the Mymathlab homeworks, whatever the case might be. Really long section. Here we go. So you can practice all sorts of examples. I truly believe there are not enough homework problems in this Mymathlab course for people to practice. So you either need to A, do the problems over and over and over, or B, go to these homework pages and try extra examples. It would really benefit you. Again, I don't think there's enough homework practice in the Mymathlab work. So that's our text. I think I just closed the wrong window, didn't I? This thing is really, really just sluggish right now. Come on. All right, whatever. So what do your homeworks look like? Well, I do have one homework assignment that I don't count as a grade, this prereq material. And you can see there are a lot of problems on this. There's 56 questions, And this is all stuff from that chapter P. You just saw one section of it, P3. So if you go in here, this is prerequisite material that you're already supposed to know, things like exponent rules, things like factoring, things like simplifying, things like evaluating. So 3y cubed squared. So again, I don't hold you accountable for this, but I will actually give you a couple of bonus points if you complete this assignment. We'll talk about that soon. So 3y cubed squared. All right, well, how do we do this? I don't know. The answer is 7 or 6. Check the answer. Oh, no, it tells me what to do, but I'm just going to cruise. The answer is 7. Oh, maybe it's 7. Well, there's a y in there, so maybe it's 7y. So I tried 3 times. I got it wrong 3 times. It tells me what the correct answer is. And you might think, oh, well, now I can never do this problem again. That's wrong. You just hit similar question, and it gives you a different example, 8y to the 5th squared. All right, well, I didn't know how to do it, so maybe I need to email Mr. Beckner and ask for his help. No, that's not what you're supposed to do with homework. You get these 2 tabs right here to help you out. View an example will drag you by the nose and tell you what to do. All right, well, here's the rule that applies to this. Here's how it applies to the actual example. Here's simplifying the example. Here's another rule that was applied. And then after you go through it, which you could take notes on, it gave you the answer to the example on that sidebar. And then maybe that helps you complete this. So some students like to just use the view an example, take notes, and they learn that way. Other students like to interact with it, so they would want to use the help me solve this. It will actually take this direct example, show you the rules, and ask for your input along the way. So raise each factor to the 2nd power. So 8, that should be 8 squared. And then the y to the 5th should also be squared. Check the answer. Okay, I got that step right. Then they say, when you have an exponent raised to another exponent, you multiply those exponents. All right, now do it. So it says the 8 squared is still 8 squared. They just want to know what happens to the y. So the 5th raised to the 2nd, you multiply them and you get 10. All right, got that right. But then now they say, oh, well, 8 squared isn't simplified. You should be doing 8 times 8, which is 64. And then that gives us our answer of 64y to the 10th. We got it right. No, we didn't, because it asked for, I'm sorry, I didn't even see that box there. It asks us to write that as 64y to the 10th. And they only gives you one attempt on these along the way. I got it wrong, but I still understand what it was. I just had a very slight goof. Now notice that the example we had to do in the homework has changed after we finished the help me solve this. So they go, all right, well, you work through that example, try another one on your own. All right, so that should be 5 squared and then y to the 6th squared. But the 5 squared is 25, and the y to the 6th squared would be y to the 12th. I can use the caret button on my keyboard to make an exponent, or I could have hit this thing right down here to make an exponent. So I get y squared, right? No, y to the 12th. Check it. We got it right. And now that we got it right, that question is permanently right. There's a green check mark. I could close it. It's saved. Honestly, you don't have to hit the save button unless you're halfway through a problem. When you get it right, it's permanently right. Now, you might go, all right, well, I got it right once, but I feel like that's not enough. I'd really like to try it again. Hit similar question. Now, the cool thing with similar question is watch the green check mark. It doesn't go away. I still have credit for this problem, but now I can try one that's similar. All right, so give the 2 to the 5, 5 squared, that'd be 25. Give the 2 to the y cubed squared, that's 3 times 2, which is 6. So y raised to the 6th, and I got it right. All right, I'm feeling more confident after the second one, but let me try it again. I really want to do this 3 times just to make sure I know it. That's how I operate. So 8 squared would be 64, and then y to the 4th squared would be y to the 8th. And you get more efficient with this. You can do them quicker. You will learn it better. Now I'm feeling confident, and I can move on to the next one. So do some problems over when you feel it necessary. If you don't feel it necessary, that's fine. Do whatever you got to do. So this right here, these 56 questions, there's some extra stuff here that I'll talk about. Let's just go ahead and write this down because I forgot to earlier. If you complete, and I'll say an 85% or higher, Prereq homework, Mymathlab, I will give you 5 bonus points on the first test. So I think that's a really, really, really awesome thing to do of me. It's 5 free points just for making sure that you understand the material that you're already supposed to know. And if you don't feel confident just working on the problems, you have the textbook. If you want to go to the material I've listed in Canvas, that might help you as well. All right. So again, do you have to do the prereq one? No, but you're going to lose those 5 bonus points if you don't. Do you have to do everything labeled as section? Yes. So these are the actual homeworks. Notice we don't cover 1.1 extensively. I will actually cover the material. It's on graphing, but it's so minimal that they don't give you homework on it anymore for some reason. We used to, and they cut it out. I don't know why, but I still give you the basics of graphing. Now, you might say, well, that's really weird. It cut to chapter 3 all of a sudden. Well, when they changed the textbook edition, when they went from like edition 11 to 12 or 9 to 10, whatever it was, they made what used to be section 1.8 sections 3.6. And TCC doesn't want to reorganize the section orders because it doesn't make any sense, honestly. So we just call section 3.6 part of the chapter 1 material still. So your first test will cover these sections, 1.2 through 1.7, and then 3.6. The second test will cover all of chapter 2. The third test will cover all of chapter 3. The fourth test will cover all of chapter 4, if we actually get to give you that test. If the quizzes and tests are, I don't really give quizzes in here unless I absolutely have to. I reserve the right to give quizzes, but I haven't had to in several years. But the tests will probably be in Mymathlab. If we're Zooming, they'll definitely be in Mymathlab. If they're in person, maybe not. You might see these for like a day, but they'll go away. You don't have access to them. And these are dates from another semester. I haven't updated it yet. The homework due dates will be generated as we cover them in class. So again, homework is always due a week after we finish the material. So if I had completed 1.2 today, then that means the homework for 1.2 would be due in a week. So that would be Tuesday, January 18th. If I had completed homework 3.1 today, that means the homework for 3.1 would be due Tuesday, January 18th, and then by 11:59 p.m. So again, these due dates will be generated after we complete them in class. Like I said, I just don't know exactly when we'll finish the material because sometimes it takes a little longer or a little less time than I might anticipate. We might miss a class, and I don't want to have to shuffle every single due date if we miss a class. And what happens with TCC, if we have snow days, it tends to be the first or second week of classes. And if I had already had the entire semesters with the due dates up here, then I got to go back and spend 15, 20 minutes resorting everything. So that's why I like to update them as we go. So we said homework due 1 week after sections completed. You don't need to email me and ask me, hey, when is 1.1 due? Pay attention to the lectures. I will say, hey, we finished 1.1. Will be due. So when we finish 1.1, that means it's due in a week. And I always say, all right, it's due in a week. The homework, don't have this up here. If you earn a passing grade on homework, I will give you up to 10 free points, max 100% though. Now, that's not going to be reflected in Mymathlab. It would be extremely tedious to go and add 10 points to everybody's score. So if you earn a 60 or higher, if let's say you earned a 65, in my grade book, in my personal grade book, you'll have a 75. If you earned an 81, in my grade book, it'll say a 91. If you earned a 42, it stays 42. If you earned a 0, it stays a 0. If you earn a 95, I'm not going to give you a 105. I'm only going to give you 100. That's what I mean by a max of 100%. So I do give you some free credit. These are bonus opportunities. So that's why I say up here, don't ask for extra credit. Your extra credit is things like, hey, do the prereq assignment. Hey, earn passing grades on the homework. I'm already giving you essentially an extra letter grade on your homeworks just for putting in effort. So what this also means is don't trust your Mymathlab grade. If you earn 85s on every single homework, Mymathlab's going to say you have an 85, really you have a 95 for your homework average. Also, Mymathlab doesn't account for zeros if you never open the assignment. So a student might only do one homework assignment and there have been 8 due so far. let's say they earned a 90 on that assignment. Mymathlab's going to say they have a 90, when in reality they have like a 10 because they only did one of the 8 assignments, maybe like a 15, 16, 17, something like that. So their grade is not going to be reflected correctly in Mymathlab. So you need to keep track of your homework average on your own. Your pre-calculus students, you should understand how to do an average. Add up all the grades, divide by the number of grades. Super simple. And if you don't, Google it. How do I calculate an average? We talked about how you need to enroll in Mymathlab by 5 p.m. tomorrow, or you are gone. Goodbye. I don't want that. I want everybody to stay. I want all my students to be here. I already love you all. I want you to earn passing grades. Something not a lot of teachers talk about for some reason. In addition to participating in the lectures, watching these for about 2.5 hours each week, in addition to that time, you should also be studying and doing homework for 6 or more hours a week. That's what you're expected as a student. Every 3 credits for a regular fall spring course means you should be doing 6 hours or more of work outside of the lecture. This is not high school where you only do like an hour of homework a week, probably. It's a lot of homework. It's a lot of independent study. That's how college works. So if you're making D's on the tests and you're not completing all your homework, if I go in Mymathlab and I see, oh, well, this student's only spent 3 hours in the first month on their homework, I know why they're doing so bad. They're not putting in the effort. And generally speaking, this is why people fail this course. It's because they're not putting in the effort. Yes, there are some students that just absolutely struggle. Maybe you need to do 9 hours of studying and homework. Maybe you need to do 10, 12 hours of studying and homework. The cool thing is, I bet you're better at other subjects. In your English class, you're not having to invest those 6 hours a week. And maybe your PE class, you don't have to invest those 6 hours a week. But we say a 15 credit schedule is a full-time load because that's 15 hours in class, 30 hours outside of class between all your classes, and that's a 45-hour work week. That's a full-time schedule. That's why we recommend students not take 15 credits and work full-time, maybe only work 15 to 20 hours a week. I understand that not everybody has that option in their life, so you might be working 40 hours and then also at TCC in class and out of class 45 hours. That's an 85-hour work week. That sucks, but you got to do what you got to do, I suppose, or maybe reconsider what you're doing in your life currently. Take notes. I can't tell you how many times I watch students not take notes in class and then they fail the tests. How are you going to do well in this class if you don't take notes? You might be the exception. You might learn by listening, but that's a big rarity with a math class. Most people need to be watching and taking notes and practicing. There are the 3 main ways of learning: by listening, by reading, and by writing. And you need to learn how it is that you learn. Me, I don't learn by listening. When I listen to people, it goes in one ear and out the other eventually. I learn by writing and by watching, by reading. So I learn by reading and writing, not listening. So when I have things in my life going on, I'm taking notes a lot of the times. And people might think I'm being rude or something like that. Or why are you taking notes? Why do you have to take notes? Because if you tell me something, the way my brain works, I'm going to forget it in an hour or 2. It sucks that my brain works that way, but it's just how it works. So I am definitely a note taker. I can't tell you how many different note files I have in my phone just to be able to function throughout the day. Oh, I have to go to the grocery store. I have to go and get these groceries. If you tell me, hey, you need to pick up oranges, chicken, and eggs, I'm going to forget 2 of those 3 things at the grocery store if I don't have them written down. Watch the lectures, rewatch the lectures if they are continue to be recorded. Do the homework, do the homework, do the homework. Don't ask for extra credit one day before the end of the semester or ever. I don't do extra credit. I give you other opportunities. Don't miss tests. If you miss a test, you're probably getting a 0 on it, and that sucks. We don't want zeros on tests. When is homework due? It's due 1 week after sections are completed. So they'll be due on Tuesdays or Thursdays. So if we complete homework, a section on a Tuesday, it's due the next Tuesday by 11:59 p.m. If we complete a section on a Thursday, it's due the following Thursday by 11:59 p.m. If we take tests in Mymathlab, those tests will not be during class time. You will have to do them on your own time during a 2-day window. So I give you 2 days because I know you might need the extra day to take it. So our classes are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'll either give you a Monday, Tuesday, or a Wednesday, Thursday option for testing probably, or maybe a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, Friday option. We'll see. Again, I hate that I have to leave everything involving tests in limbo for now, but that's just the nature of the beast of Omicron. I have absolutely no idea what people are going to tell us, what the administration is going to do. I have a feeling this is going to go on for a month, but that's just a feeling. I could be completely wrong. This could be the only week we have to Zoom. It could go on all semester. But I mean, just looking at how the waves have come, I just feel like we're still kind of peaking, and that peak is not going to settle in 2 or 3 days. So I have a gut feeling that this is at least going to go on for a couple of weeks to a month, and maybe we'll be back in the classroom. But I'm not telling you that ironclad it's definitely going to happen. That's just my thoughts and feelings, and I do not make the decisions. So that's why this whole test stuff is up in the air. Does anybody have any questions? Remember, you can post those in the chat. Is there any chance that I would be able to switch time for this class to the 9:30? I do have several seats open for my second class of this at 9:30, so yes, you could switch. What is the ad drop date for TCC? Where's the calendar? So as long as you enroll by January 18th, if you don't like this 8 a.m. class, if you'd rather do this at 9:30 with me, I am teaching this. I teach this class at 8. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said that way. I have this class at 8 and 9:30. So if you wanted to switch from the 8 to the 9:30, you can do that. Or if you wanted to switch from the 9:30 to the 8, that doesn't matter. But if you switch, make sure you don't enroll in the Mymathlab for the 8 a.m. If you're switching to the 9:30, if you're switching from the 9:30 to the 8, make sure that you don't enroll in that one. Make sure you wait to enroll in Mymathlab. So you need to make your decision kind of quick. You could change the enrollment later and I can block you out, but it's just kind of a hassle for me. It's not a big deal. I don't know why I said it that way. And by the way, if we do continue this semester on Zoom, all semester, there might be some times where I use pre-recorded material. It can be really difficult with my at-home situation to do all 7 of my classes over Zoom. Like most of y'all, we've got other people and animals living with us, and it can be a really difficult time to have everybody be quiet and out of the room for half of the freaking week. So please, please, please understand that I might use, I'll keep things live as much as I can, but I might have to use some pre-recorded lectures. And if you did want to switch times, you just go to enrollment. You can do it online or go to enrollment directly. If you're enrolled in the trial period of Mymathlab and you wanted to switch to a different course, that's fine. You'll just let that trial end. Just don't pay for it until you enroll in the other course. It actually wouldn't matter if you switch teachers. If you paid for the course and entered that 25-digit code for mine, when you switch to the other teachers, it should still be paid for automatically. It shouldn't be a problem since it's good across all 161s. Everybody likes to ask the questions privately here. I'm actually going to answer 1 or 2 of these questions in the chat window real quick. Just they're a little more, I don't know. Um, I have, when I'm Zooming, I do use two different mics. One of them is more of a room mic. One of them is a headset. The headset gets really uncomfortable after a while. So you might notice the volume is drastically different between the two. Some days I might be louder, some days I might be quieter. You're just going to have to adjust the volume on your audio output if I'm too quiet or if I'm too loud, because I have no way of affecting the output volume to you. So if you ever say, oh, Mr. Beckner's super quiet today, can you turn up your mic volume? Actually, I can't. You just need to turn up your audio volume, so you know. All right, so that is it for the day with only a few minutes left. I don't want to start any course material, so when we come back on Thursday, we'll get right into it. And yeah, besides that, if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email again at rbeckner@tcc.edu, or you can shoot me an email via the Canvas messaging system. Make sure you enroll in Mymathlab by 5 p.m. tomorrow. Please don't make me withdraw you. I want to see your faces in here. I want to see your names in here. I want to see you in person, hopefully. I know maybe you don't want to deal with an in-person class. Maybe you're really, really, really terrified of what's going to happen over the next couple of months. And again, if you don't like the idea of this maybe going back to being in person like it was supposed to be, then maybe you should go ahead and secure an actual Zoom class for the semester. And like I said, I'm sorry that everything is so up in the air. I have absolutely no control over it. And one thing that I've learned in life is that when we don't have control over something, we have to just learn to accept it and roll with the punches. We can't let it stress us out. We can't let it affect our lives negatively, because, you know, past 2 years, maybe it did, and maybe I've had to learn from that. And again, just roll with the punches. All right. So we will, quote, see you on Thursday. We'll see you in this Zoom class. And hopefully by then we know what's going on next week, but I have no idea when they're shooting that information out. So just keep an eye on your emails. And when I hear, I'll let you know as well. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.